Hey, Vinyl community. I am here to do a very special video. I'm here with my friend Martin Parrott, who is from the UK. Now, Martin had reached out to me a couple of weeks ago. We had known each other through the vinyl community and through Facebook. And Martin had suggested that we do an episode together, sort of an across the pond discussion about music. And so we had mutually agreed that today we would talk about 10, 12-inch singles that are of significance to us. They might be our favorites. They might just be ones that we want to show and talk about. So Martin has picked 10. I have picked 10. But before we begin, Martin, you want to talk a little bit about how you grew up on music and sort of the evolution of your musical tastes and whatnot?
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. Firstly, anyway, I was not into music particularly as a younger person. When I started, I think I was more like early sort of teens, which was like mid late 80s, I suppose. So I used to get like a magazine called Smash Hits every other week, and it had all like your pop records, like your Tiffany and your Madonna and whatnot. And then I had an upward curve in that I went to college, got a little bit cooler, but maybe still had a bit of a mullet going on, sort of thing. And then I think I dropped out of that first college sort of thing, and I got a job, or not, a bit like an apprenticeship, I suppose, in a record shop. So I was there from about 1990 to 97. So it's like an independent record shop. Then I drifted away from music a bit, like millennium sort of time, and let me see. Then I think you're going to hate this bit, but through finding good records in thrift charity shops, it sort of swung me back in to a lot of music again, even during the 90s I'd missed out on, and older stuff, and even jazz, even that sort of stuff. And then it sort of subsequently developed into dabbling a bit in a internet radio show, and being in the VC. I suppose I've been in the VC like maybe 7-8 years approximately.
And you're the vinyl scavenger. People can find you as the vinyl scavenger there.
That's right. Mm-hmm. So I sample as well. That's another thing. So if I go and look for records, it's like, could be sampling, could be reselling, could be for radio or just something different, and could be just bog standard trying something, I suppose. So I think that's me in a nutshell. If I've missed anything, then what the heck,
Sure. No, and I've always loved 12-inch singles, and I've never really talked about them that much on my channel. Maybe some of the artists, but never necessarily have I pulled out my 12-inch singles or the music. But I think it's very much a reflection of my love of 80s music and growing up in the 80s. And I remember I didn't even realize 12-inch singles existed until I was in college. And friends that lived in the dormitory with me would pull out these Depeche Mode 12-inch singles or New Order 12-inch singles. And I'm like, what is that? It's the size of a record, but you play it at 45 RPMs. In my mind, because I had never, as strange as that seems, being 18, 19 years old, and for the first time discovering the 12-inch single, was really, that opened up a whole new world to me.
Was it like, then, to me, 12-inch single format here, it was very predominant start of 90s, and it was sort of dance. Well, from what I'm going to show, a lot of it was like dance to indie, shoegaze, crossover into remixes. So it was sort of a bit like they came together on some things, certain bands getting remixed, or it almost like went the other way as well, and they wanted to collaborate, or what? What was it there? I don't know.
The 12 inches that I was first exposed to and that I grew up and ended up, buying later on, they tended to be kind of alternative dance artists, like your Depeche Mode, Erasure, New Order. They were all kind of the bands that were played in the clubs. I guess, like
Oh, right. Okay.
back then. There was some 808 State
Oh, yeah.
starting to come in a little bit, but yeah, and I like OMD even had some 12 inches. But you know, some of these I will talk about when I go through my 12-inch records. But that's predominantly, I think, in America, the types of 12-inch singles that you would find in the shops would be, you know, Duran Duran even had a lot of 12
Hmm.
singles in the 80s and early 90s, and some of the other artists. So we'll get into we'll just go one for one. If you want to start and show me your first 12-inch single that you want to show and talk a little bit about.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we're not keeping score, are we?
Yeah, right.
Maybe I hope you know some of these, and then if you don't, I hope you sort of. I'll tell you what. I'll start off with this. Okay, so this is my favourite band. I think they're Australian. They're known most famously for Under the Milky Way.
The church.
So it's the church, yeah. Which in Britain people rarely have heard of the church. I'd say they are more known in London with Australians that work in bars, and that's a little bit little bit humorous. So this, I searched for this for a long, long time. So this is from 1982. So this is called Sing Songs EP, and it's probably worth a little bit of money. But I just happened about 5 years ago to be at a record fair in Oxford, and stumbled across it, and someone was willing to part with it for far less than what it was. So it was sort of like an in-between album sort of thing.
Okay,
There's
it's
a
like
cover
an EP.
version. Yeah, there's a cover version of I'm a Rock. Not an amazing one, but okay. And then just 4 other tracks, of which the Night is Very Soft is a very nice song, actually. That's A Different Man. Ancient History, In This Room. So they are all those other 4 the Steve Kilbey songs.
Okay.
So that's my first show. I didn't get into the church until about 1990.
Okay.
So are they college rock in America?
Yeah, my first exposure was, I think it was 1988 when the Starfish album came out.
Yeah.
That was, of course, the album that Under the Milky Way was on. But I remember I bought that on cassette and then eventually owned it on CD. And then I went back and I bought their album Seance, which I don't remember what year that one was from, but
83, 84, I think.
yeah, I want to
sure.
say it was very early 80s. And
yeah,
Electric Lash, I really love that song on there. And yeah, kind of got into the church, like the mid 80s church. I think Gold Afternoon Fix was the album that came out. Didn't do
that's right, yeah.
Fish. But yeah, I think they were big over here in 1988 when the Starfish album came out, because Under the Milky Way had been played on MTV, and you still hear Under the Milky Way on the radio, at least in my area of the universe over here. So there's sort of a nostalgia for that particular song. Yeah, no, I love the church.
It had a video, didn't it? And someone was putting their finger in an egg or something.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Does that ring a bell with you?
Yeah. No, I vaguely remember that. I haven't seen the video in so long, but I still listen to that album. I think it's great. And I think they just came out remastered, like deluxe edition of that record this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. They've got a new album coming out as well, I think, like it's imminent.
Okay.
Someone left, Peter Koppes left. And I think they've found someone else now to replace him. So
okay,
keep going, you know.
Right.
Yeah, I went back with them first. I got into the Gold Afternoon Fix first, and then I worked my way back. And then I've got most of that stuff up to about 2000, and then I'm a bit more patchy, shall we say. But they're still going. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your turn then.
Okay. Well, mine, I feel like my selections are going to be a little safer maybe than what yours might be, just because I think you've got a wider variety of musical interests than maybe I do. But the first one I'm going to go with, this is New Order, and this is the single for Shell Shock.
Right. Yeah.
an extended dance remix of it. And what I didn't realize, for whatever reason, I did not know that New Order was on A&M Records. For some reason,
Oh, right.
they would have been on Sire Records or a little more of a smaller label than this. But
Yeah.
I'm really surprised. This has got Thieves Like Us on the B side.
Mm.
But my first exposure to New Order was in high school. Somebody let me borrow the Substance album on cassette, which had the remix of Bizarre Love Triangle. It had
Yeah.
of Blue Monday, which is the first time I have heard any of those tracks. And I thought, this
Mm.
was blowing my mind. It was my first real connection with dance music, like electronic dance music,
Yeah.
outside of like Duran Duran. But I fell fast and hard for New Order. I loved the album Substance. I went back and bought all their CDs and cassettes, and yeah, I haven't followed them so much recently. I'm more a fan of the '80s New Order, and of course they were Joy Division, so I'm a big Joy Division fan also.
Mm.
Yeah, Shell Shock. I got this for $1, probably
Oh, that's good.
a couple of months ago, and it blew me away because I think this is a fantastic single. I love this
Yeah.
single, and I mean it's got a remix on here. The sleeve itself is in pretty good condition, so I have no idea. I mean, the vinyl's in great condition. Somebody just, I guess, I don't know, didn't think it was,
Oh,
so I was happy to pick that one up.
I don't recognise the cover. It must be an American cover, I
Yeah,
suppose.
that's what I was thinking because it doesn't say anything about New Order, and that's the thing about New Order's covers are and
Yeah.
there's not a huge like New Order or the title or anything. It's just got some interesting artwork on it, and the 12-inch singles are no exception. This just says Alex exclamation point part of the artwork. I have no idea what that means.
I don't know. We'll
Yeah,
find
like
out.
some kind of obscure painting or something like that. Whatever.
Yeah. I don't
So,
know. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But here they're on Factory.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
And to see
Yeah.
them on A
So,
and M is
hmm.
my mind.
No, that's a good one. That's 1-1 then. Do we
Yeah,
call that a draw? I don't know.
right.
Right. Okay. I guess actually mine, now looking at my small pile, they are a little bit more obscure. So
That's good.
is it? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Now the next one, it came with an album. Okay. So it's another 80s band who I'm not a particular fan of. This is an album. It came in free when it first came out. So it's Soft Cell, The Art of Falling Apart. Okay.
Great.
And then, lo and behold, it came with this. And obviously, it being my name, it's got a track called Martin, which is a long sort of high tempo, slightly comedic disco sort of what do they call them? High energy sort of song. And it appears that this Martin, he's a bit weirder than me. He's into all sorts of weird things, shall we say? It's a great track. And then on the other side, so it's just one on each side. There is a bizarre Jimi Hendrix medley
Wow. I'd
of
love to hear what that sounds like.
it sounds like maybe not too far away from New Order, but it's definitely keyboard based as Soft Cell were. So what are the ones on there? I can't remember. Hey Joe, Purple Haze, Voodoo Child, you say? Yeah,
Yeah, I
Voodoo.
think a child. I've seen it both ways.
I think I've seen actually when I was young. I think I used to call it chili, but anyway, that's completely
Okay.
wrong.
Well, and
not.
over here, Soft Cell became big when they had the single Tainted Love. And then there was the 12-inch single, which took Where Did Our Love Go? There was that
Oh yeah,
Tainted
yeah. I
Love
don't
and
know
Where Did
that
Our
so much. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that was I remember big in college. That was the first time I'd been exposed to that. But yeah, I like some of their other stuff too. They had a single.
Hmm.
I remember when I was in college, I picked up a single. It was for the track Numbers. It was like a little
Hmm.
P, and I don't know what album that was off of, but I used to love.
Do you know this album then? Because I wasn't that keen on it.
Was that off that album?
The Art of Falling Apart. It's got
Was it on the same album?
I don't know any of these tracks. Kitchen Sink Drama, Baby Doll, The Art of Falling Apart, Numbers, Where the Heart Is,
Okay.
Forever. You know them. Forever
Yeah,
the
Numbers
Same.
and Where the Heart Is, I know, because
Yeah.
I got it's like a CD singles collection.
Oh right. There's a
Tracks on
keyboard
it.
there.
Yeah, Numbers is a great track. I like Numbers a lot.
All right.
But
It's a 12-inch I like on there. But
okay.
yeah, I'm sure you can listen to it on YouTube. You'll never look at any Martin the same way again, probably.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that
weird.
out, and also the Jimi
Yeah.
Hendrix
Yeah.
as well. All right, well, my second one, I am going to go with an Australian band, and this is one of the first new wave bands that I saw on MTV. Really enjoyed the song "The One Thing," and then I think big breakthroughs in America was the "Listen Like Thieves" album. This was the first single off of that album, "What You Need." And what I like about this one is it has 4 tracks on it. Because sometimes you get gypped and you just have 1 track per side, but this has What You Need, and then there's a remix of What You Need, and then strangely it has 2 tracks from the album that came out before Listen Like These, The Swing, Melting in the Sun, and Burn For You. There are 12-inch versions of the, on this record, but yeah, I've always been a big NXS fan, and you know, right up through, I think, their last album before Michael Hutchence passed away.
Was that X? No. Welcome to Wherever You Are. No?
It was Elegantly Wasted.
Oh, I don't remember that one. No.
Yeah, that was, I think, 1997 or something like that. When
Yeah. They sort of survived through grunge because a lot of bands didn't.
They did, but Welcome to Where You Are was released during the grunge era, and then I forget the other ones that were released.
There's X. Before that was Kick.
X was 1990. Kick was 1987.
Yeah.
Full Moon, Dirty Hearts is the one I was thinking of.
Oh yeah, I remember the name. Yeah.
94, maybe 94.
That's quite rare. That's good. That's quite rare to get a 12-inch with like 4 good tracks, because sometimes you get a bit of filler.
Exactly.
On the B-side sort of thing.
But that one's pretty solid. Yeah.
Should I just go on to the next one?
Yeah, you're number 3.
Oh, okay, right, okay. This is very different again. So I've got 2 records here. We were saying about B-sides on that one. This hasn't got a B-side.
Oh.
It's one of these etched ones. So this is by a band. Lovely cover. Okay, so this is by a band called Bark Psychosis. It's called Scum.
Oh.
Do you know the word
music
Scum?
are they? What kind of music would they be?
Oh, it's not so much shoegaze, but it's sort of ambient sort of guitar noise.
Okay.
I don't know who I would compare it to. A bit drony as well. So, do you know the band Codeine?
Heard. I don't know that I could name a song or would recognize it, but
sort of swirly noise. Anyway, I'll briefly just say what it is. So the B-side does nothing. It's just etched mess. Anyway, so it's 1 track. It's about 22 minutes long or something. It's from 1992.
Okay.
So it's just recorded in a studio, which sort of sounds a bit like echoey, and then about halfway through, there's like this church Pentecostal sort of service going on in the next building while they've recorded it, and they just keep playing, and it amazingly sort of all fits in. It's really quite special, really, I think.
Yeah, well, I'm very intrigued. What label is that on?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
Let's have a look. It's on a label called Third Stone.
Okay.
which I've never heard of.
So
It was
probably like
just
an independent
by,
label then.
yeah. So it's called Bark Psychosis. They've done. I've got one album by them. Um, yeah, just yeah.
Love the
There you
name
go.
and I love the cover.
Yes, great, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Close shave.
very cool.
Yeah,
Be a little bit of like a New Order artwork where there'd just be kind of a
yeah,
cover in
yeah. It
some
is, isn't it?
cases, and
Yeah,
then just the title
yeah.
on the back.
It's got a nice blue hue to it, hasn't it?
Yeah,
No blood.
exactly.
If it was made now, it'd probably have some blood on it, wouldn't it, or something a bit more,
Yeah, you're probably
gory,
right. Yeah.
probably.
All right. Well, mine is the farthest thing from that type of music, I feel.
All right.
I'm going to go with Duran Duran, and this
Yeah.
is a single for Notorious.
Oh, Notorious.
This is the Latin Rascals mix,
Ah.
which is unique. And this has, it's got the regular version of Notorious on it. And then on the B side, it's got Winter Marches On, and then the regular album version of Notorious on here. So there's 3 tracks. This is what the side A looks like.
Nice.
And then if you had any confusion about what speed to play it at,
Can be a problem with, it can be a problem with 12-inch. Yeah.
And one of the things that this was their Nile Rodgers period. So Nile Rodgers Notorious album. I think it's a great album, but they're down to a trio now because Andy Taylor left and their drummer Roger Taylor left. And so they kind of went in a little more dance pop kind of, well, I want to say popish, more, I don't know what I would call it. Maybe like dance R&B a little bit.
It's more sophisticated, wasn't it?
Yeah, like sophisti-pop, I think is one of the terms.
Yeah. Probably the guy in what's the name of that film? And probably the guy in American Psycho would have liked it, I think.
Oh, exactly.
It would have been on his playlist, probably.
Yep. But Duran Duran was one of those bands. I actually like some of their B-sides better than I liked what ended up albums. They had some B-sides. Unfortunately, there's not exclusive, a B-side exclusive to this 12-inch. I picked that one. I like Notorious, and I like the direction they were kind of heading in. Which was different. They knew they had to evolve. They knew they had to grow, and they had to mature a little bit because it's not the same as it was a few years ago when they were putting out albums like Rio and Seven of the Red Tiger. But I think that's great. I think their next album, Big Thing, was also pretty good. But yeah, that's my my number 3.
No, that's a good one. And I really like that single as well, Notorious. And actually, I think all Duran Duran up to when you said they were just solid. And I think you're right in that I think the B-sides of their early singles, they were either like completely different and really good, or they would like they were special like extended versions or something. I can't remember, but
yeah, they call them
like that.
Yeah, some of them they called night versions, which I don't know if that meant they were to be played at night, like club versions, and they were a little more disco-y than some of the versions that ended up on their albums. But yeah, like Faster Than Light, which I think was a B-side to Girls on Film, I think is a fantastic track. I really love some of the B-sides from Rio. I think they're really good and could have, been singles in their own right, actually. But yeah, I've always been a Duran Duran fan. I've never been ashamed to say, even from their earliest days, when they were considered like a boy band, I guess you might say.
Yeah.
Here, but I think artistically, they were solid, and they're still putting out music today.
Yeah.
The test of time.
Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah.
Oh.
Shall I do another weird one then? Yeah. Do another weird one. Right. Okay. So this is another 12-inch single with just one side. Yeah. Okay. So bands like Happy Mondays, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like that. Would they call that like the Manchester?
That's right. Yeah.
90s.
That's right. So this was This band, they were a little not successful at all. They were a little bit like the indie dance crossover Happy Mondays of the south of London. I think they only did 1 or 2 albums, I'm not sure, but they did this one track. It's sort of a little bit, it's got the vibe of going out, having a good time, but optional use of drugs and sex and other things. But it's also sort of a bit of a double-edged sword in that some of the lyrics suggest that maybe drugs and things like that aren't a good idea. So sorry, I'm just talking about it too much. So the band is called Flowered Up here, and it's called Weekender. So it's about going out and having a good time at the weekend. And
right. Interesting cover there too.
Yeah, Tesco is the supermarket bag she appears to be wearing. Yeah, there was a very iconic video to this as well, which I think you can see on YouTube probably.
Now, did that
looks like the Who
chart high in the UK?
Sorry?
Did that chart high in the UK? Was that a big hit over there?
I think it was probably top 20. Yeah, and also, can you see here? Singles often used to like sort of promote. Well, they were, weren't they? They were used to promote like albums. This wasn't on an album, but it was only £2, which is that a couple of dollars? I don't know, but and they used to have loads and loads of different formats. This my mate actually. I had this one, and he had the Andy Weatherall. Was it Andy Weatherall Club Mix sort of thing? Yeah. So yeah, in fact, actually, it opens, or does it? I think it closes with the dialogue of the Who from Quadrophenia, when he says, "You can take that mail and that franking machine and shove them right up your proverbial," sort of thing. So it's that sort of. To me, it harks back to sort of that mods rockers sort of thing, I suppose, but in a different way. But it's a bit of an epic track. So it's on. It was through Sony Music, Columbia.
I'd never heard that before. That's interesting. That's another one I'm going to have to check out.
Yeah,
because I'm familiar with Happy Mondays, but not so much that one.
These might all be dated records now, Jeff. You know, like yeah, a lot of my
favorites are the ones that are dated. That
Oh well, there you go. Then
for me, they remind me of a specific period of time, and
yeah,
soundtrack maybe for a year or even a couple of months meant something to me back then. But well, my number 4 is my first stateside band. This is a band that was from Athens, Georgia, and my first introduction into indie rock, as it were. I'm going with REM, and this is their single for Can't Get There From Here. This is Bandwagon and Burning Hell as the B-side, which are both on the Dead Letter Office compilation that they released in 1986, I think it was. This is on the IRS label, which I've always thought was one of the coolest looking labels, with the guy there and the fedora and looking like a secret agent or something like that.
Yeah, Dragnet or something.
Yeah, but this was another one. It was such a low, the video, the production on it looked like a couple of teenagers with handheld cameras. It was very much, considering what was out on MTV in those early days, it was still so low budget. And I think that was part of the appeal, because not a whole lot of people knew about REM back in the early 80s. And I've done an REM video where I've kind of talked about the fact that there was something to be said for knowing you were one of the few people that knew about this band, this great band, but only a few people know about it. You in an exclusive club. And then they broke big with the album Document and the single, The One I Love. And then they got really popular after that. But in those days, not a whole lot of people, except for college stations, they were not on the radio, and not a whole lot of people had heard about them at that point. great
we
song, and I love that one.
yeah, I didn't get into REM until sort of actually Out of Time, actually, to
Okay.
be honest. So that's way later. You know, I was still into Madonna when you were probably, you know, you were out
Right.
there with your art, with your camera, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So REM, yeah. What can I say about REM? Yeah,
Yeah.
you
I,
said
you
it
know, and
all. Yeah.
they broke up a few years. I don't know. It's been about 5 or 6 years now, but
Mm,
I'm I still their 80s, that early 80s stuff still, you know, takes me back to when I was
mm,
little and listening to them. And but anyway, that's one I felt I needed to show
yeah.
because I'm a big REM fan. But
Mm,
so you're number 5 now. I think we're up to.
yeah. This is a long video, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I was expecting 10 minutes as well. Don't worry. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll go and have my cup of tea and dinner now. Yeah, that's it. Right. Okay. So this is getting even more obscure. Okay. So you've got my prime cuts really. So this is based on a British 1960s 70s children's TV program called Trumpton, not Donald Trumpton, but a very sort of pastoral, um, small English village town kind of scenario. But it's a rave version of the theme tune. So it's called A Trip to Trumpton, as in, I suppose the joke is a trip is obviously to do with taking drugs again.
Yeah,
Just
more
like
than
to
one meeting.
disclaimer, I haven't actually done a huge amount of those things. Anyway, so it has A Trip to Trumpton on one side, and a remix on the other. It's from 1992. So this was like prime rave. So I suppose more of a well-known people would be like Prodigy, I suppose, that kind of thing. But this I suppose is that slightly British humour, I suppose.
Okay.
We had a lot of dance. We had a lot of dance records that sort of period.
Yeah, so that was kind of when, at least over here, the whole electronica was sort of competing with the grunge
Yeah,
at that time. Like you said, you know, there were those bands that were kind of coming up. And would you say like that early 90s is pretty similar to kind of the electronica stuff that was
uh,
coming out
yeah.
then?
But I think a lot of the dance, even like you had New Order, a lot of that came from sort of an American um, scene. I'm not quite sure. Was it Chicago House or something? I'm not
Mhm.
sure, but yeah, I guess they were, yeah, like you say, they were competing with grunge, and it was a different sort of sub genre, wasn't it? I suppose, and
Yeah, like Prodigy, I remember over here,
yeah,
it was sort of like, well, if you know you're not into grunge and you're the people that were all in the dance scene were into, you know, bands like the Prodigy and you know, 808 State, I guess, a bit,
mm,
just because they were more, although they did have some guest vocalists on some of theirs, but they didn't have
yeah,
entity in the band who actually was a singer. They were more known for kind of their instrumental club hits, and occasionally they'd have Bjork or someone guest vocal
yeah.
on the track. But all right, well, my number
Mm,
5, I am gonna go with a band that didn't put out a whole lot of albums, and there was a long gap in between their albums. But their first album, their second album, really sound stylistically different. Their first album was very much synth pop, and then they really matured for their second album. I'm talking about Tears for Fears,
uh-huh.
Songs for the Big Chair album. This is Head Over Heels. And I really love the version on here is called the Preacher Mix. And it is a really long version of Head Over Heels. And there's a section on here where Roland Orzabal is singing, almost like he's preaching
Yeah.
A clean edit at the end so you don't get the segue right into the broken reprise on here. On side 2, there's a Head Over Heels 7-inch remix, and then there's a track called When in Love with a Blind Man. Which is an okay track. But this is on the Mercury label.
Uh-huh.
Not a
I
custom.
recognize that. Yeah, an American Mercury label.
But I love Tears for Fears, and this album in particular, and this song in particular. This is definitely my favorite Tears for Fears song, but they just kept expanding their sound. The Seeds of Love, their next album, was even more kind of in a more mature direction, but I still have a soft spot for songs from the Big Chair, and I really like that version of Head Over Heels a lot too.
Sounds interesting. I'm going to be checking that one out, definitely. Yeah. Like, well, all of it. I'll go back and watch this video, and then we can
we'll be making notes and then going on Spotify or whatever and checking.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right, you're number 6.
Yeah. Oh, God, this is going to be a very long video. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So this is another sort of dance sample based thing. I actually looked them up this morning. They're from North London. So the band is called 4 Hero, the number 4, and then Hero. Yeah, so this is called Mr. Kirk. I looked it up. Some of the sampling is from Isley Brothers, one of their tracks. And the other bit, it sounds like it's from a film. And there's some dialogue on it, but then the dance kicks in a lot. So this is Mr. Kirk's Nightmare by 4 Hero. And it's about someone's got to go down to the station house. So it's probably American. We don't call them station houses here. We call them police stations.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. He has to go down to the station house because his son's died of a drug overdose. And once, a very long time ago, I gave my mother a big scare in the I got chucked in the cell, so in the police cell overnight, and I was okay. I wasn't dead, but yeah.
Now, what year was that from?
Oh yeah, okay. It was well, this I know is a repress. This isn't the original one I had. It's got New York on there, so maybe it says 95, but I think maybe came out maybe a couple of years before then.
Okay, so the repress was just 95 then. Okay.
Yeah, white. It's like a trendy white. You maybe don't have that in America, do you? Where you get like white labels?
We do.
White labels.
Yeah, they've got white label. Usually like
promo.
DJ promo copies or something come in the white label, but I've seen in stores where it's just a white or a black label, the black sleeve.
With a sticker on it.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
But mostly it's like DJ promo copies that you find the plain white label on. But all right. Well, my number 6 is going to be, I'm going back to the UK. And this was a song that I heard on the soundtrack to Pretty in Pink. And this is OMD. If you like the photograph of the kids on the swings, or I don't know, or adults, but like the fairground on there. But this has an extended version of If You Leave, and on the B side, it's got a remix version of La Femme Accident from
I don't know that
album. But this is I think most Americans' introduction to OMD was hearing that song. It was on the Pretty in Pink soundtrack. It's also on the A&M label there. But I love OMD. I like
who remixed the B-side? Does it say?
It says all it says is re-recorded by Tom Lord Algie with OMD. It doesn't give credit to whoever did the remixed version, so I'm not sure about that. But
have you gone back and got older OMD, like Maid of Orleans and
I did. In fact, I've got like I go back to their first self-titled album, and then Architecture and Morality. I have Dazzle Ships, Organization, all the way through. I've got almost their entire catalog on CD. A big OMD fan. And I try to collect as many of their 12 inches as they can. I almost picked Bride of Frankenstein, which was like a medley remix of all of their.
Oh, right. I don't know that.
Yeah, I almost picked that one, but it didn't have a regular sleeve. It was just kind of like a boring black sleeve. So
oh, right, yeah.
Had a more decorative kind of a sleeve with it. So that's my number 6.
Okay, I've got 4 more to go then. Okay, and we have at least some American representation here. I will go for this one next. This was actually banned, I think. It's an American band. I know nothing about them apart from this song. So it's called Negative Land, is the name of the band. And it's on SST 1991. So an American punky sort of label, is it? Or Lawndale, California.
Okay.
And it's they've done slightly comical versions of I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For. And there's a notorious sample of Casey Kasem, you know, America's Top 10. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. Is that the clip where he's getting frustrated?
He loses it.
And swearing and...
That's it. And it's on here. So U2 didn't like it. Casey Kasem didn't like it. And I heard really, because I used to watch Casey Kasem's America's Top 10. You used to video it. It was on at like 3-4 o'clock in the morning here on a network. And I know that he met a rather sad end, apparently. He sort of got dementia or something and was in the desert.
Yeah, I think he did have dementia. And, he passed away, I don't know, a couple of years ago, but he was an icon on radio. I used to have, like you say, like the countdown that we used to listen to every weekend, and he'd read his dedications and whatnot. But yeah, and he actually he did the voice of the cartoon Shaggy.
Oh, Wally?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's I've never seen that.
Oh, right. They had well, it was banned as far as I know. I bought this from someone. I mean, some sort of drone or something. So, yeah.
That might be the U spy plane that the band was named after.
Is that? Maybe. You tell me. I don't know.
Yeah, they were named after a spy plane.
Oh.
And so I'm wondering if that's what that is on the cover. Maybe.
It must be. You've been spying on us again.
Yeah.
We're okay here. You don't have to worry about us.
Well, my number 7, this is technically it's a band, but really it's one artist, kind of like 9 Inch Nails is Trent Reznor. But this is a band, This is a single that it's called Slow Train to Dawn. It was off their album Infected, or his album, Matt Johnson's album Infected. He's really the artist behind the name but this is a really mature album after the one before this. What was it called? I can't think of the name of it. Soul Mining, was that the name of?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. But this has got Nina Cherry on it.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I really like she guest vocals on this particular track. But this is got Slow Train to Dawn, an extended remix on side A, also a track planned, and then it's got 2 unreleased tracks, Born in the New SA, and a track called Harbor Lights, which I'm not sure if that's the cover of the Elvis Presley. I tend to think it's probably not, but anyway, love the work on here. I love the artwork on all the early the albums as well. But it's even got the lyrics on the back, which is interesting for a 12-inch. You don't usually see. So definitely kind of like Midnight Oil in that they've dealt with very topical kinds of themes, but occasionally you'd have a romantic love song. But for the most part, it's very much, I don't know who I'd compare them to, but they were part of that early synth pop a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to really categorize them, but I became aware of them in college also. I think the Mind Bomb album had come out, and you had the Smiths guitar.
Dusk.
Mar was
that an album by them?
Dusk,
with a great cover.
Yeah, Dusk was their late 80s album. And that was, that's also got a great cover, like you say. And I don't know if Johnny Marr played on that one or if he just played on Mind Bomb, but it's definitely, if you like new wave music, a little more, I don't know.
Crunchy?
Yeah, crunchy, guitar based, but also not afraid to use a drum machine from time to time, and keyboards. The tracks, This Is the Day and Uncertain Smile. Uncertain Smile has got this really long piano solo at the end before it fades out. But it's a really, like Talk Talk is reminds me a little bit of them. Somewhat Psychedelic Furs, maybe a little elements of that in there, but definitely a unique and distinctive sound. So.
No, that's a good one. I mean, Verve, I don't know. Well, I don't remember much by them in a way, but are they a bit like Nine Inch Nails?
Only not really not anything like Nine Inch Nails, other than Matt Johnson, is really the only member of the band who's consistent. He's our singer, songwriter. He's essentially the personality behind the band, same as Trent Reznor is the songwriter and main force behind Nine Inch Nails. That's the only comparison there.
More royalties for one person then, really. Yeah. Good move. Yeah. Okay, this is American. This might well be the sort of, I have no idea, this is obscure, but I think this is the sort of thing that you would find in charity shops everywhere, even occasionally in over here. So it's the Temple City Kazoo Orchestra with some kazoos. And you've got Whole Lot of Love on the kazoo. And then you've got, you've got 2001 Space Odyssey, Staying Alive on a kazoo, and Miss You by Rolling Stones. So I thought this would be, Americans would know this, and it would be everywhere there, but how did this happen?
If I knew about that, I would be all over that.
If I see a copy, it's coming to
yesterday. Yeah.
And it's, I think the other one I had was Plain Black.
Oh, that's
pretty, isn't it?
Yeah, I love that, like splatter vibe.
Splatter.
Yeah.
So maybe somebody heard a kazoo and then there was some blood. I don't know.
I am gonna track that album down. If I have to go to the earth, I'm gonna find that.
Rhino Records, 1970. That's American,
Rhino,
isn't it?
No
Rhino
kidding.
Records. So,
well, maybe if some people watching this video have heard of them before, you can let me know. How do I get a hold of a copy over here?
I naturally presumed you would know this, but obviously
no, I had no idea.
No, Los Angeles, Rhino Records, Los Angeles.
Wow.
So there you go.
Well, I'm going to track it down now.
Calm me down.
I'm glad I heard of it. Yeah. Well, I feel like I'm always like I told you before we actually started recording, I feel like 7 out of these 10 artists are going to be UK artists, and I'm back UK artists. This is one of my favorite 80s bands, The Cure, Why Can't You? This was from the Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me album. This has a Japanese Dream on the B-side, so only 2 tracks. There's a 12-inch remix on side A here. Interesting minimalist artwork. That seems to be a dog there. Not really much on the back, but yeah, Cure. They were very much kind of a goth type band early on, and then they switched and became more of a poppy
Pop.
dance kind of a
Yeah.
band, Right Around the Head on the Door, or the Walk EP before that. And then they kind of slowly evolved back into the goth, brooding kind of music right around Disintegration. Fantastic. It's a gorgeous album. In fact, people's favorite Cure album. But this is their only double album, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me. And the first single off it was Why Can't I Be You? But when it came out on CD, they had to trim a track called Hey You off of the CD. And so we didn't get to hear that again for a while unless you owned it on cassette. But yeah, I really like The Cure a lot. And they had some good dance tracks, even though they also had some real majestic and, you know, alternative, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what to call that. This like gothic, you know, and I know it's really hard to attach a label to it, but
goth, yeah,
but it's beautiful, whatever it is. It's
yeah,
great,
yeah.
great alternative music.
Are Sisters of Mercy popular or known in America?
Oh yeah, we've heard of them. I mean, they were another kind of college radio stations would play them, but yeah, I was familiar with them. Not because I owned anything by them, but all my cooler roommates I had always, you know, Sister of Mercy and those kind of bands. But
the Cults,
yeah,
Cult rock.
Cult is a pretty popular band over here. I know I've had discussions with a lot of people in the BC. Cult's really popular. So.
Okay, 2 more to go then. Nearly there. Right. This I a few years ago in our local pub, we used to do a vinyl night, and we had to move around the pubs because some of us were playing slightly too weird music, basically, I think. And yeah, one pub we got kicked out of because one person objected to something. Anyway, we ended up at a pub where you had the decks up on stage and everything, and it was a little bit, almost I felt a little bit embarrassed or a bit intimidated going up there, sort of thing, and you're on next for your 20 minutes of fame and this sort of thing. But one guy, he played this, and I thought, I have to get this. This is just great. I haven't got a lot of David Bowie, so this is called by David Bowie, and it's called Love Is Lost. And let me get this right. This is the Hello Steve Reich mix by James Murphy for the DFA. Steve Reich, is he a jazz artist or is he a painter, or I'm not sure.
I'm not sure, to be honest.
No. So it's on white vinyl. I think it cost me about £20. It's basically a long dance track with the Love Is Lost song. This is 2013, so would this be from David Bowie's? Is it maybe The Next Day? I'm not sure. It's from one of his last albums, anyway.
Okay.
And it sort of works out with the bleeping and everything, bleepy noises. It goes into what sounds like another David Bowie song. I can't remember which one, but an 80s. But it sort of sounds like a bit of a homage to David Bowie without totally sounding like that track. So
I love the white vinyl there.
It's nice, isn't it?
Very cool. Yeah.
That cost me £20, £20. But
it's a gorgeous record, though.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, love that. I love that. What's the writing on the sleeve there? Is that lyrics?
I suppose it's sort of a bit like when you get on old computers, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
Sort of thing, I suppose, or not index cards exactly, but sort of like I don't know what you would call that, but it reminds me a little bit of some sort of old Michael Caine film where it sort of comes up like this, like Ipcrest file or something. But
Okay. Well,
yeah.
let's square a hole on that too, instead of being
Sorry,
square.
Square.
The
Who'd have
record
thought of
label.
that, eh?
Yeah.
It's just a great track, and it got everyone. I mean, we probably all had a couple of beers anyway, as it was, but we all got up and danced, and yeah, I had to go and get it.
All right.
Do you like? Are you into David Bowie much, or?
His early stuff, not so
Yeah,
much after like 2000. I just kind of
yeah,
attention, I guess. And
mm,
they didn't really play, at least, in my area, they didn't really play a whole lot of his stuff. You might catch something on MTV here or,
yeah,
or whatnot. But yeah, it was real sad when he passed away. But
yeah. We've got a statue here where I live. They commit. There's a club. Sorry, there was a club in the 60s, 70s. So I live about an hour northwest of London, I suppose. So 60s and 70s, they used to get bands to try out new material when they came over here. So Blondie, Clash, David Bowie played there. And I think the reason the statue is here is allegedly that it was the first time he did Ziggy or something.
oh, no kidding.
Sure.
Okay.
It's a shopping centre now, though.
Oh.
It was sort of a narrow atmospheric club, and then it moved somewhere else. I mean, I'm not hugely into David Bowie, but I recognise his uniqueness, I suppose you would say.
Yeah, no.
And I prefer his
he's one
early
who
stuff.
transcended genres. I mean, he
Yeah.
pretty much covered, and not only did that, but he inspired a lot of artists as well, of course, of his career. But yeah, no, he's a great one for sure. My number 9 pick, I have talked about this band already in this episode, so I may as well show one of theirs. I am going to go with Depeche Mode.
Depeche Mode. I thought they were due a showing. Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of holding out a little bit. I wanted to save some of the best for last, but this is Get the Balance Right. This appeared on a People Are People, which was an American compilation, but it really was originally a single. This has got the combination mix on side A, and then 2 non-album tracks, which are The Great Outdoors is an instrumental, and then there's a live version of Tora Tora Tora, which is off Speak and Spell. I really love the early Depeche Mode, the artwork on their 12-inch.
Yeah.
And this was from almost the Construction Time Again theme here, even though this wasn't on Construction Time Again. But they were experimenting a lot. This was sort of like the earliest industrial music where you'd have like clanging and banging and hammers and different percussion than just strictly a drum machine. Yeah, I don't know. I like Get the Balance Right. Is it their best single? No, but I think it's a great song, great cover, great 12-inch to have. And this is on the Mute label. And
same as here, Mute.
Right.
Yeah.
Then just A and B there, but so that's my number 9.
Okay, thank you. I've saved the best till last, I think. Well, no, I've saved I don't want to say it tongue in cheek, but yeah, the greatest flag in the world, obviously. That one.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, anyway, yeah. Probably best not to get too political here, but anyway. So this is Manic Street Preachers. So I really don't like the original version of the theme from MASH particularly. So this is like a rocked up version. Do you know Manic Street Preachers much, or?
I've heard of them. Yeah. I know that I could name any of their songs, but it's definitely familiar to me.
So this was part of a anniversary for a charity. So it got to number 1. I think it was actually their first number 1 single. So Suicide is Painless. Then on the B side, because they did a whole, they did a whole triple album, all cover versions of UK number 1s from the last 40 years. And the B side is Everything I Do It For You by a band called the Fatima Mansions.
Is that the Bryan Adams track?
Yes, but
Okay.
it does not. It sounds a bit more different, shall we say? Yeah. And there's also
Better.
an extra track, "Sleeping with the Enemy." It's a interview with a member of sorry, it's an interview with a journalist, and basically it's a little bit gory, a bit more like this back cover, but this member became probably one of the 27 club, in that he disappeared just before Manic Street Preachers were going to tour in America. But this particular track, the journalist is saying like, "Oh, are you for real?" And then he literally, in front of a journalist, he cut himself for real, to sort of like, whether he was proving it to the journalist or just getting out some anger or some pain, I suppose. So yeah, pretty heavy stuff. Um, yeah, a bit like the song, I suppose. It's quite a, yeah, it's quite.
Yeah, the song fits, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose it does. Yeah. So
Wow. Interesting.
yeah,
Another one I got to check out.
Manic Street Preachers. Yeah, it's
Okay.
on Columbia again.
Okay.
Just a nice black label. There we go. Fatima Mansions are an American band, I think.
Okay.
Couldn't tell you
Yeah, I've
anything
heard.
about them though.
Yeah, I don't know if I've heard anything by them either.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, I love that. I'm gonna have to check that one out as well. I didn't realize I didn't just about all of those I didn't know existed, apart from maybe the
I've
so,
deliberately picked
so.
lots of awkward ones, really. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a
Do
real
a bit of
education.
legwork now.
Yeah. Well, my last one is from most people over here think of as a one-hit wonder. He had a video on MTV that really kind of established that. It was a real funny kind of video. Oh, anyway, I'll just get to it. This is Thomas Dolby, and this is
All right.
by Science. This is an EP, and this has the track She Blinded Me with Science, which there was a big video on MTV. I'm sure you've seen it over there with the science.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's a little
Computers, glasses
yeah,
on.
exactly. So it's a little bit of a quirky track, and not many people know, and maybe in the UK it's different, but people mostly know him for that song. But they're, he had really more substantial tracks than what was on his first album.
Yeah.
A song called Hyperactive, which was another single, which actually had quirky video also on MTV. But he's done collaborations with Eddie Van Halen and some other artists. But what I really like about this EP is it's one of my favorite labels. It's the Harvest label, which Pink Floyd was also on.
Oh yeah, that is a lovely label.
Yeah, and so I love that Harvest label. But this has a couple of tracks in different versions than what appeared on the Golden Age of Wireless, which was his first album. It's got One of Our Submarines. There's a 12-inch version of that on here. And then there's 5 tracks on this EP. And then side 2, Wind Power, Airwaves, and Flying North. Different versions than what appear on the album. But I love Thomas Dolby. People kind of pigeonhole him and say that he is synth pop, but I think he's a lot more than that. He's another one whose sound matured from one album to the next. And
you've kept the Shrink. You've kept the Shrink on there. Yeah.
Was fortunate enough to still find it, and the Shrink paid pretty handsomely for it, but I don't care. Glad I got it. And I've talked Thomas Dolby up on this channel to death, but I think he's fantastic. And I've always been encouraging people to check him out. Either that album, The Flat Earth, Aliens Ate My Buick, or Heretics and Astronauts are his 4 classic albums from that 80s, early 90s period.
He's a bit tongue-in-cheek then if he's done an album called The Flat Earth, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And
Aliens Ate My Buick really has a Pulp Fiction kind of, like a 50s horror monster
artwork to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's fun. He's sometimes he's got tongue in cheek, sometimes he's serious, but you know, his music I've always taken very seriously, and
That's the best. That's the best kind. You don't know whether someone's joking with you or not. Like, you know,
right.
when you did your video about, was it with your wife or something, or she was like,
Oh
I wasn't
yeah,
quite sure
yeah.
whether that was a
No.
joke or not. But anyway,
Yeah,
yeah, I
see,
don't want you to reveal
of
it
course
though.
I would appreciate that kind of humor because that's what I'm all about. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You play it straight, and then really you're kind of laughing inside, but
Mm,
other people get the joke. But yeah. So, well, I
that's it.
enjoyed this video a lot. It was interesting comparing our different 12-inch singles that we chose, and
Yeah.
be checking out a lot of yours. And I'm sure people watching this video will want to, if they're not already familiar with it, check it out on Spotify or another streaming service. But
Mm.
yeah, this has been a lot of fun, Martin. Definitely check out the Vinyl Scavenger. You can find them on YouTube. And you said you've also got a radio show, an internet show that you do in the UK.
Because of lockdown, we haven't done it so much lately, but there's always a show on there. So, hello, see ya. Someone with a strange accent there, he probably decided to come. So it's crmk.co.uk. And also the stuff that the music that I do is on Bandcamp. Well, one album is on Bandcamp, and it's called the Structured Disasters is the local ensemble that I belong to. A lot of it's more avant-garde because I'm like more sample based, and yeah, the Vinyl Scavenger is the album. You'll see it there. Yeah, it's turned into a free advert.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
no, I'm glad, and like I say, I'd like more people to check you out, and hopefully we can do this again sometime.
Yeah.
Different topic, and we're
Yeah.
hours apart, so we made it work today, and I know we can do it again.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Ponds apart. What are we going to call it? Yeah.
Yeah, across the pond, whatever
Across the pond.
works. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for watching, and thank you, Martin, again. And
Thank you.
take care.
Yeah.